Hi, and welcome to Maintain Monday with the Young and Bold segment. I'm your host, Crystal.
And I'm Destiny.
And today the show is pretty much going to be based around some young people that have been bold enough to step out on faith, start their own business, and persevere during this whole pandemic season that we've been dealing with. And we're just going to have a conversation based around them, and we're going to highlight them and what they do for their business and how they persevered and never gave up hope, even during times of uncertainty.
Yes, and today we just want to encourage all young and the bold to step out on faith and trust that God has a plan for you and trust the process.
Now, before we meet the guest and jump into the conversation, I wanted to play this video real quick. And then once the video go off, we'll, talk around this video.
Not caring what people think will be the best choice you ever make. Bro, this old I want to be popular stuff is basic. I know you see the cool kids, they dress fresh, they get the attention, they turning up, they going to parties, and you want to be like them, right? Keep it 100. Sometimes you feel like you're not enough, right? Well, I'm telling you, you are enough. You were born original. Don't you dare die a copy. You were born to stand out. Stop trying to fit in. Popularity does not mean quality, but I get it. I get it. See, in this crazy world we live in, it has no chill. Some people are loved for being fake and others are judged for being real. But you have to be real. Never stop. Because it's better to be hated for who you are than liked for who you're not. So what if you don't fit in? So what if you're not perfect? Do you know how diamond experts can tell if a diamond is real or worthless? See, the fake diamonds are perfect. The real ones have flaws. And just like that, fake people appear perfect. Real people make mistakes and have flaws. And let me tell you this, the coolest people don't care about being cool. The people who care about being cool are the saddest. When they go home, they're not happy with who they are. Because see, popularity is when other people like you. True happiness is when you like you. See, me and you, bro, we got the same story. See, I was that shy kid. There was nothing I wanted more than for people to like me, but it didn't happen. And I would always think like why? Why can't more people like me? And then it dawned on me. See, sometimes the universe has to protect you from what you think you want. See, me not being popular gave me time to work on me. And when I worked on me, everything changed. When I had the courage to be me, people started coming to me. See, I found out that I was enough already. And just like that, you are enough already. See, nobody has lived your life. Nobody can tell your story. So pick your head up. Don't dim your light so that others don't have to squint. Don't hide your shine underneath the shade. Don't trade your dignity for popularity. You may not be popular now, but you will be great one day. Right now, you may not be well known, but one day you will be worth knowing. So keep focusing on you. And don't worry about what these people think, mainly because most people don't think. Most people will judge you based on an opinion from somebody else. Man, treat these people like coupons and cut them out of your life. Leave them on red. It's time to focus on you. You may not see it now, but in 5 years, none of this popularity stuff is gonna matter. See, popularity ends on yearbook day. What you build and who you become will last the rest of your life. So don't let them write your story. You keep caring about what people think, you will forever be their slave. And you're stronger than that. So never forget who you are, because it is who you are that makes you great.
Yes.
So the reason I chose that particular video is because I feel like it relates to the young and bold and us, what we want to do as the young and bold segment, which is pretty much encourage young people to be themselves. Don't try to be like anybody else, even though you're not popular. And that video to me speaks to people that are, you know, they might be shy, or they in a group of people that want to be liked, when really you don't have to be liked by everybody to be, you know, who you are. So that's why I chose that video. And also the two guests that we have today, I feel like both of them may be able to relate to that video, because they work with kids on a daily basis. So they'll be able to, you know, that video will, they can speak on that when they join the show.
And
But
then also, one thing that I noticed about this video is that it said, don't trade your dignity for popularity, and don't let them write your own story. Our guests, if they listened to their peers or maybe the family or the friends that could have gotten in their ear, they probably wouldn't have made it to where they are today. Because your family sometimes doesn't support you. Your friends, your circle, sometimes they don't support you because they think that your dream is too big and it's unreachable. So if our guests had listened to the negative ears that could have been around them, they wouldn't have made it today. So that video was perfect.
yeah, and then there was another quote that he said, and it was towards the end. He said, what you build and who you become will last the rest of your life. So when you building up to, you know, be the person that you are, that's who you're going to be for the rest of your life. Like nobody can change who you are. So it's just that, yeah, that video really like is encouraging. So all right, right now we're going to go ahead and meet our guest. All right. So our first guest is Keisha Johnson.
Okay, so Miss Lakeisha Johnson is a Baltimore native who has enjoyed dancing since the early age of 2 years old. In 2010, she graduated from Baltimore Talent Development High School and was ranked top of her class academically. She doesn't just dance, she's smart too, beauty and brains. She served on many ministries at her church, Bethel AME, and has served on leadership board of the dance ministry. Ms. Lakeisha Johnson advocated for services and programs for children and youth, made recommendation programs, policies, and necessary legislation to promote the health and well-being of children, youth, and their families. She even worked with both private and public sectors to bring forth the concerns of youth and children, as well as evaluate and develop programming that will enhance their development. She is the founder and artistic director of her own dance company, Fearless Dance Empire, where she holistically teaches youth in Maryland the art and discipline of dance while providing a safe, structured, and fearless environment to allow them to express themselves freely and artistically. This community-based program is where her heart lies. She teaches over 150 students a year from the ages of 2 years old to adults. She uses her talents in dance to serve others at local churches, social gatherings, community centers, as well as nursing homes. She truly enjoys working and providing services for others.
Okay, and let's meet Keisha.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you.
And then we're going to, let me introduce our next guest, Dr. Austin Hill. He's a K-14 educator with 8 years of experience. He has served in several positions, including the Academy of Finance Coordinator at Edgewood High School, the K-12 to College Navigator at HCC, and HCC how do you say that word? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm gonna just start over. He now serves as the Director of Strategic Partnership at Howard Community College, which is a newly created position. Dr. Hill earned a Doctor of Education Leadership degree from Capella University and a Master's of Education degree in Career and Technology and a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Education from University of Maryland Eastern Shore. In addition, he has a postmaster's certificate in leadership and accountability from Capella University and principal leadership certification from Lamar University. And Dr. Hill also is a photographer with YNR Photography Studios. So let's welcome Dr. Hill. Hi.
Welcome.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Hi, and welcome to the show today. So we're going to get started with the conversation.
All right.
So I have a question for you both. As you saw in the video, that the man was saying, like, don't worry about opinions. You have to worry about what you believe and what you know about yourself. Did you both encounter people that may have said your dream career was too big? And did your circle try to prevent you from doing what you love?
For me, yes. Yes. Unfortunately, but yet fortunately at the same time, because of a lot of times people react out of fear. Especially fear of the unknown and the fear of change, especially if you're doing something that is not common, something that a lot of people are not necessarily doing. So I had a lot of people who were discouraging me from starting a dance career. They just did not see what I was trying to do and what was really in my heart. But I knew what I felt. I knew the difference that I wanted to create, and I knew that for me to create that change and that difference that I want to see, it's up to me to do it. So at the time, I was still working. I worked for Baltimore City, in local city government. I ended up leaving that work. I was interning with the governor's office of crime control and prevention, and I was coming out of my last term as a youth advocate. I said, I just want to do something different. I want to get out of the governmental sphere and move into something different. And people were like, "You need the government? The government?" I'm like, "I'm gonna do it." And that's what I did. I left and I ended up working at Starbucks. People were like, "You want to leave from working for the government to work at Starbucks?" I'm trying to get to college. I'm trying to finish my degrees, operation graduation.
Right.
I did not see it, but it still encouraged me because I'm like, okay, now that you're telling me that I cannot do something, I'm going to do it.
Yes.
And I did it.
Good job.
Excellent. And to your question, actually, my parents didn't believe in my dream. Yeah, they didn't want me to be a teacher. So both of my parents, well, first they both went to PWIs, predominantly white institutions, for school. So when I said I wanted to go to HBCU, they were kind of confused at first. But they finally bought into it. And then when I said I wanted to be a teacher, so I remember my dad saying like he's not paying for a out-of-state teaching degree. I could have stayed locally because I'm originally from Delaware. But as things progressed, it wasn't until graduation day he actually learned that my degree was in business education.
Wow.
Moving forward, a lot of people in my life did not see the trajectory of where I was headed or where I wanted to go as far as teaching. They thought teaching would just be the end all be all. But I kind of crafted and created a lane for myself that allowed me to continuously be able to progress and move along, throughout my career. So, but I can say that not in a negative way, because parents always want the best for you.
Right.
But the mantra that teachers don't make enough money is false. I mean, when you were first going to say, my family, my daughter, we all live very comfortably on, formerly a teacher's salary, and now that I've, moved into administration, we definitely do very well.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, I have a question for both of you, but Dr. Hill, now you just said that your parents, they didn't believe in your dream and what you wanted to do. So my question is, who inspired you? Who and what inspired you to pursue your dream? Even though you didn't have that support from your parents, is there any specific person or something that inspired you to want to do that and keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. So in high school, my senior year, well, throughout high school, I had an administrator, Harvey A. Harvey, who was definitely an inspiration. Growing up, I don't recall having a black male teacher. But as far as administrators goes, he was very influential in not only my life, but a lot of students who came up through Wilmington, Delaware, Concord High School. He always commanded and demanded respect and excellence from, black males. So I thought that was, very important and something that I wanted to, bring forward when I became a teacher. And, my godmother was a teacher and always, pushed me to go that route. I have a aunt, Ravina Smith, who, definitely raised me in the word and always encouraged me to be a teacher as well. So, from a family aspect, I had a lot of family members who were teachers who would always, give words of encouragement and things of that nature. But my probably most influential would be Harvey A. Harvey.
Okay. Now, before Keisha answer really quick, now with your photography business, what inspired you to get into photography, or what do you have anyone that like made you want to? What made you want to do photography?
So this is where photography kind of pivoted. So as you know, my wife Brittany, her dream was always to get into hair and things of that nature. So me trying to be as supportive as possible, I knew that branding and images would be important. So in the back of my mind, I always started like dibble and dabble and things of that nature. I started getting connected with a lot of realtors, doing like real estate listings, and good friend Kim McBride, doing her like branding photography, and then other realtors started noticing. So then between that, and then I have a cousin, Kelly Finch, who has been a mentor to me throughout the process, gives me words of insight, allowing me to shadow, participate in a lot of her shoots, and that's where I kind of fell in love. And then I realized like, oh, this isn't just something to play. I can definitely invest the time, perfect my craft, and truly begin to make a difference. But I mean, there's a wealth of photographers. My good friend, Ralph Rogers, R.J. Polk, Milton Lawrence, Juan Gordon, who inspired me and allowed me to shadow under them, learn from them, and see that in anything that you do, if you put forth the energy and effort, excellence can happen. But I'm not a photographer by trade. This is something that I continue to work on and perfect because I knew that those around me needed that level of excellence. So it caused me to raise my level as well.
Okay, that's good. And you, Keisha?
So I guess for the first question, I had one of my best friends. We're still great friends today from high school. When I told her that I wanted to start a dance company, I mean, of course they just laughing and like, what? Because I was always into politics, I was always into government, and they just didn't understand how politics and dance, could meet. So anyhow, she still encouraged me, was like, you can do it. And then once I came up with the name, like Fearless, she told me about the poem by Marianne Williamson. And we probably all heard this poem being recited from Akilah and the Bee or Coach Carter. At the most of the time throughout the movie, they just recite a portion of the our deepest fears that we're inadequate, our deepest fears that we're powerful beyond measure. And just that one part alone, that one sentence alone, it struck me and it motivated me to do more because then I realized that, I can do anything I still put my mind to. We always hear it from our parents. We always, and a lot of times if they're not in support of our dreams, we still have to find that our own inspiration to keep going. And I just had this burning desire and knew that I wanted to do something more. So I'm glad that she was able to show me that poem because that kind of gave me another opportunity to kind of kickstart this dream and this venture and just continue to go on with it. So yeah, so that's the inspiration part. Now you say, wow, I started the dance studio.
Yes.
Like I said, I left from working in local government and state government and interning there. So I just knew a lot of the issues that I was always seeing. I was always dealing with youth and young adults and their families. And I just wanted to really affect change. I really didn't see a lot of the tactics that we were utilizing, really creating the change and really creating the opportunities that I think a lot of young people, need or need support in. So when I was like, I love dance. And I'm like, a lot of people love dance. Dance is just innately a part of our culture and a part of our being. So like why can't I use dance as therapy? Why can't I just use dance as a way for people to express themselves? And I ended up working at a after school program doing financial literacy. a long story. I don't know. I don't know. But I started doing financial literacy. And the program unfortunately lost funding the following year. And they were not able to return to the school. But before the end of that program, at the end of the year, the principal asked for a culminating event to showcase all the work that the kids been putting into for this after school program. So of course I taught a dance. They realized how amazing some of the most troubled students a part of this, in the school, or the ones who are wreaking havoc all over the school, running around, not doing well in school, how they started to listen, how they started to have a little bit more structure. Their grades were starting to improve. And they're like, well, why? How? So then they asked me to come back to do a dance program. And I'm like, okay, but I don't have a program. So I had to create a program. I didn't have the money to support it, but found a way to, make sure these students had an opportunity. And then the principal just kept allowing me to come back year after year after year. And then I started to put it out on social media, just our pictures of the students and them traveling. A lot of them had never been able to travel before. So once a lot of people started seeing that, they wanted to also then enroll their children. They were like, well, can my children come? Okay, maybe I have a summer program. So from that first year, just having an after school, it turned from an after school program to a summer program to a Saturday program to now a full year program for the entire community. Men, women, children, boys, girls, disabled students, it all.
Well, that is beautiful. So I'm wondering, for you both, was there a point where you wanted to give up on your dream? And if so, who or what kept you motivated?
You want to go first?
I'll go first. So, very few people know this story, but back in 2013, I had a principal who has a history of not supporting African American males within their building. And it's something that's very well documented. During her tenure in administration. So I was actually relieved of my duties my third year as a teacher, and I actually had left education, as a whole. You know, I spent 2 years working for Nationwide Insurance as a claims adjuster, working on material damage, which is like auto accidents. So you get an auto accident, estimator comes out and estimates, and I have no experience working with cars at all. So, I liked it from a customer service standpoint. I enjoyed that, but it wasn't what, had went to college for and to do. And I still remember a mentor and the overseer, at my church, told me to send her my resume and don't ask any questions. I sent her my resume and I get a call from the school saying, hey, we want you to come and interview. And I'm like, I already have a job, but okay. So I entertained it. I went in the interview and they said, oh, we got a couple other interviews. I'll let you know. And I said, okay. So, I went back to my car and proceeded to get ready to try to write some claims. So they called me literally maybe 10 minutes after. It was like, oh, we're offering you the job. We need you to go to North Ave to begin teaching. So my second stint in teaching, I'm teaching at Baltimore City. Originally being from Wilmington, Delaware. Pretty much growing up in I would say a suburban life. It was definitely a culture shock working in the city at first, that first week. But after a while, kids are kids. No matter where you go, no matter what lifestyle, they all want to be loved. They all want to be nurtured. They all want to be held accountable. So that aspect was the same. But if I would have listened to that initial administrator, who pretty much had it out for who I was naturally just birth, then I probably wouldn't be before you today with the story that I have.
Okay. Keisha.
Yes. To be quite honest, it's extremely difficult. First off, running a business, especially when you don't have any prior experience in the field. Sometimes it's definitely a question like, should I just stop? Should I do something else? Should I do something different? But I always think about my students. I have so many amazing students, and every time I think about me just giving up, I feel like I'm giving up on them. And I think about their faces. I think about how excited they are when they're coming down to our studios. I think about how excited I am when I'm online doing my Zoom classes with my students, academic, in the academic school setting. And they are my motivation. They are the ones like, Miss Johnson, are you okay? Miss Johnson, how's your day going? Like, they are the ones that always constantly, giving me that motivation and inspiring me to keep going. Even my students at the studio, we have a different relationship than the ones that I had in the academic school setting. We are able, pre-COVID, we would get hugs and we're like, okay, it's okay, we keep going. And some of my older students, when I was in college, and they saw me just always rushing, always running back and forth, like, kind of frantic, but they were still there. Like, okay, Miss Keisha, it's okay. We know you have had a long day, keep going. When I graduated, they were just as excited as I was, as if they were walking across that stage. So there's been times that I wanted to give up, and a lot of times it's not because of teaching. A lot of times it's because, sometimes about being a teacher and working with a lot of young students, a lot of times the parents are not,
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of reason. I'm like, all right, I quit. You teach. But and it's real, like that's the truth. Sometimes it's the parents, that really, they helicopters, so it's just, and I understand, like, you're really entrusting your child with someone else. So I get it, but a lot of times it can be quite disheartening to hear some of the things that the parents have to say.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with difficult clientele for the both of you? Like, what are your tactics?
Well, I'm ready. I'm gonna tell you. Like, Lord, please. Please, Lord. But no, seriously, like I have to keep a spiritual covering because we're still human. We're still human. And we're bones and flesh just like them. We bleed the same way. And so sometimes I have to then take a step away because I want to always remain professional at all times. I don't want any of my parents, because I like to say that we're a family at Fearless Dance Empire. I understand that sometimes family get under your skin, but I try to make sure that in that instance that I take a step away and say, okay, well, I hear your concerns. Can you give me an opportunity to get back to you? Or I'll make myself available via text, via email. So like, okay, well, you shoot me an email what your concerns are, and then we'll be able to address them at another time. So just so I can be able to decompress, understand what they need, figure it out, because sometimes it can be something that has nothing to even do to do with you. So like I said, I really just pray a lot of times. I'm like, all right, Lord, just please give me the words I need to say and keep it moving from there and stay professional.
So for me, it's a combination of things. One, I was taught at a young age that, well, not a young age, young in my career, that always act as if somebody has a video camera recording you. So being in a classroom, this generation, they always are recording. So you always have to think about if whatever you say can be played back. So I'm very slow to the draw, especially if I'm upset. And then just years of sales experience. When people are usually upset or hostile or things of that nature, there's a why. Usually there's like an insecurity or a fear or something it may be. So by trying to identify and address whatever that insecurity or fear may be, can help de-escalate the issue. Sometimes like if they say one thing, they really don't mean that one thing. They really mean something else. So if you're trying to find out what that other thing is, then you will be able to de-escalate the issue, and you'll find yourself with a lot happier customers as well. And I see that all the time with photography. A lot of times when people are trying to do portraits and different photos, they don't know what it is that they want. You find out what's the purpose, what are you trying to do, and you make the suggestions to them and help ease their mind. Sometimes play music that helps to ease them, but they just want to try to put the most beautiful image possible out there, and it's our job to try to make it happen.
Okay, yeah, this is a really great conversation. Now, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I used to be a teacher. I
Um,
graduated from college. I started as a substitute teacher in the city, and I was just like, my first day, literally, I was just like, yeah, I don't think this is my cup of tea. But then I did it for probably like 2 years. I ended up being an accelerated math teacher in the county, and I had this a math class, and it was for kids that were below grade level, and I was like teaching them so they can get on grade level or above. And that is when I realized, like, yeah, this is not my profession. Like, I need to leave this to somebody else. So I just stepped away from that, because I feel like as a teacher or working with kids on a daily basis, you have to have the patience and the drive to really deal with that, no matter what the circumstances are. And like Keisha said, the parents, that's like the parents are sometimes can really like get under your skin, and it kind of like I had to step away because I didn't want to step out of my character. So I was just like, yeah, let me just focus on something else. That wasn't my cup of tea. But this is a great conversation. So
so
I
let me ask you this. Maybe what if it wasn't the profession? Maybe it was a subject in which you were teaching. So I would say this. A lot of times, especially when you're trying to get an education, and because there's so many critical shortage areas, you're often teaching outside of what your passion or love may be. Like for myself, when I went in the city, like I said, I went and interviewed. My background is business and computers. I was teaching math and science. I have no business teaching math and science to any child. So I know, like, if I had to make a career out of teaching math and science, I would be just like you, like, nah, this ain't it.
right,
But,
I get it.
I would definitely encourage you and anybody else, if you have a passion, whether it be the arts, communication, production, I mean, there are career pathways in teaching that revolve around that allows you to pour into what it is that you're passionate about and see on a day-to-day basis. But the one thing that teachers possess, especially if you really are passionate about it, that others don't, is a care for somebody's child.
Yeah, that's true. And I didn't even think about that because I liked working with kids, and that was my initial reasoning for, becoming a teacher and getting into because I like working with kids. But then I
Absolutely.
thought about it. But now that I'm thinking, and you said that, if I
Subject.
was put in if I was put in a position to teach like communications or video something, then I would be, I would rock it. But yeah,
Right,
I just thought about that.
right, absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
a good
Now,
point.
you all have said the same thing about like parents can become the issue and can almost take you out of your character. And this is why I'm not a teacher, but I honestly do feel, excuse me, as if teachers are underpaid. Just because I feel like if you look at athletes get so much money for running up and down. I mean, granted, it's not just playing the sport. I understand that. But there would be no athletes without that teacher to give you that passing grade so that you can get drafted. I feel like people do not, just me personally, what teachers go through, especially in a pandemic, like how you have to teach kids through Zoom, deal with their background noise, the parents that don't care, the kids struggling, and you have to go above and beyond
Mm-hmm.
before COVID and now during COVID. I really do not understand. Like, to me personally, I really do feel like y'all are underpaid and underappreciated as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. But a part of that conversation is, I think a lot of people don't understand what it is that teachers do on a regular basis that leads to the So, like Lakeisha, for example, a lot of people, if they're looking at what it is, to put on a dance studio, they're probably just going to see like, oh, you're just putting forth some dance moves and that's it, but not understanding the time, the preparation,
Yes.
the evaluation process, the foresight. that it's going to take, because before a child steps into the classroom what their limitations are and how you're going to have to craft something to fit their limitations.
Exactly.
So, the same thing happens like within photography. Like a lot of people think that they can just take out a camera and produce a photo. Like, I don't knock you. I mean, the way that cell phone technology has advanced, a lot of the cell phones that are out now are able to take quality photos. But what
Hmm.
you're not adding into the equation when you're paying for a photographer and a professional are their years of experience, their years of customer service experience, to be able to deliver whatever it is that you want and see your vision and bring it to life. So when I hear people say, "Oh, athletes, they get paid all this money and teachers don't," and I agree. Like I think there is an injustice with the difference in pay scale, but the main difference is people know what they're going to get when they see LeBron James
You're
play,
right.
so they're willing to pay that. People don't know what they're going to get with a teacher.
Exactly.
They don't know how many tears we wipe and how many cheese packets, you got to dish out because, Tony and Chrissy are coming hungry to your studio and they can't dance if they're hungry. They're not going to do work. So, there's a lot of additional things that go into teaching that are not going to show up in the classroom and the worksheets that I think are undervalued within the profession.
I
Yeah.
completely agree with that because I didn't understand how much teachers went through until, see, I'm a college student, and
Mhm.
this semester I took an introduction to special education as an elective. I had to write an IEP. I looked at oh my gosh, I don't know what came over my teacher, and I promise I did not do it in depth how I was supposed to. But I got a 100% due to completion. But y'all go through so much with the creating plans and then adjustments for different students, and then
Mhm.
some students don't even know that they have IEPs, and their families don't know. So it's just so much that goes into being a teacher that is, oh my gosh, I appreciate all of y'all.
Yes, that is true.
Thank you.
Okay, so one another question really quick. So
Mhm.
as excuse me, as someone who started a business and working in business, everyone has goals. So how long did it take you to reach your first goal, and what stops you from giving up and just saying forget it, I'm over it, I don't even want to do it anymore? This for both of you guys, whoever want to go first.
Okay, so for me, I never thought. I mean, I always wanted to dance studio. I always wanted to teach dance, but I never knew the steps that I had to go through to get there. That's why I stayed in government for so long. So I was, like I said, heavily immersed in the government public policy sector, and so once. And this is after I had an injury, so that was like one of the main things. When I was dancing, elementary, middle, high school, I acquired an injury that prevented me from furthering my dance career. I fractured my patella, tore my meniscus, and I even shattered my heel. So I could not walk, let alone dance. And then I had to still go through rehab. So I was like, okay, I was a little angry at the world because I'm like, now I'm in high school. All this time, years, 18 years of me invest, 17 years, 16 years of whatever that I invested in dance, and my mom paying money, a lot of money for my dance education, for me not even to be able to further my dance career. I saw myself dancing on Broadway. I saw myself in, movies and stuff. And so once I acquired that injury, it set me back. It set me back. But I'm thankful for that because now I enjoy what I do. So the first goal of starting my business came years after. I thought I'd suppress that idea of starting a dance company and teaching. But once I was like I said, working at Starbucks, I said, I think I want to do something different. I think it's time for me now to, open up a dance studio. So in 2014, after I was doing the after school programming, I said, I'm gonna do it. So I started. I was still in college. I learned about bartering services. So I went to a local community center and I said, hey, I'll help you all do grants because for college, I was a community studies and civic engagement major. So I studied a lot of nonprofits and business management and how to get the community involved. So I said, hey, I'm going to borrow some services. I'm going to help you all write some grants, get you some money, and you let me come teach for free. Let me have this space for free, rather.
Mm.
That's what I did for two and a half years. And I was just viewed, and I guess like things just continuously, happen. So after I did the after school program, and I had the Saturday program, then I wound up using the same facility for a summer program, and now we have our own studio, and we also, conduct Zoom classes for students not even in state now. So it was like each year I had a goal that I set. That I know I didn't set it. People asked, and so from then it just kept rolling. It's like a catalyst of me just stepping out there on faith. So that one faith walk and that one faith step in a goal that I said I wanted, then showed me, what was on the other side of that goal.
Right. And how about you, Dr. Austin?
So mine's a little bit different. My goal, honestly, is to learn these tax laws. Because here's the thing, and one of the things that I think 2020 has taught many of us is that the more money you make does not mean the more money that you keep. Especially like if you're getting into business. If you really want to be able to retain income and be able to benefit, you have to learn a lot of these tax laws. So my goal was to learn how much I can try to, write off, deduct as much as possible so that I can truly turn and utilize my business and business model for good. So that's been my focus and goal. Because if you have $10,000 in sales, $20,000 in sales, but nothing to deduct, the government's going to take majority of it anyway. So how much can I look to, donate my time to nonprofits and make sure that they have some quality images, and then in turn, I get to write off a lot of that, to help my bottom line. So it's a win-win situation. So that truly has been, my goal. And I would encourage anybody who is looking to start out in business or on the fence about getting into business, learn the benefits of some of the tax breaks that you would benefit from if you were to start your own business.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's great advice, Dr. Hill and Keisha. So we're gonna switch the topic a little bit as far as leadership. We're gonna talk about the leadership part in owning your business, and then by you two working with the youth on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Hold up, Destiny. What was the question you had?
Well, I just wanted to know, as far as being a leader, and I know leaders have to, in order to lead properly, you have to present a picture for your clientele and for your students to see. So, how do you instill leadership, or what qualities do you instill in your students and clientele?
You want to go first, or you?
Yeah, you can go.
So in order to be a good leader, one, you have to, like you said, you have to paint a picture for others to be able to follow. But the second thing you have to do is put others in a position to also be leaders as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm constantly, whether it be in the classroom, I'm finding ways and situations to raise our youth to to become leaders and be leadership, have leadership roles. You know, because when you give them a sense of ownership and an ability to be able to lead in certain situations, not only will that help you perfect your leadership qualities and abilities, because you'll see how well you are at explaining different items or material. How are you good with delegating responsibility? How good are you with supporting somebody else's vision and be able to support something even if you may not agree with it? So, that's where my focus is, how to put others in position to be successful and lead as well is how I then grow and develop as a leader.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with Dr. Hill. And here at Fearless Empire, by being a dance studio, I try to afford opportunities for our students who are learning to teach. A lot of times I say, okay, You all will figure it out. And it helps to push them into leadership. It forces them to take the next step and say, okay, well, listen, I know I practice. I don't know if you all practice, but I remember the choreography, and it goes like this, because they know that there's some type of accountability that will be implemented if, well, the accountability needs to be there before the consequences are implemented. And a lot of times at the studio, I have a lot of accountability. So like if you're late, it's a push-ups. If you're out of uniform, it's push-ups. If you did not practice, push-ups. And I know some things are outside of the children's control, but it fosters that type of accountability. And once you instill that accountability within a child, the leadership comes as well. It may come a little bit slower sometimes in different students, depending on the type of children you're working with. But a lot of times the leadership is already there. They just have to really, it has to be birthed out of them, So I try to give them as many opportunities to lead, whether it be leading their class or leading a discussion or, leading a project, whatever it may be. I try to really give them that opportunity. And then I have a lot of older students who I give the opportunity to teach. So I'm like, okay, hey, instead of me outsourcing at my dance studio and hiring a, a professional dancer who's been dancing for 32,000 years somewhere else, I teach my students my curriculum. I have my own curriculum. I have my own philosophy, and I give them the tools that they need to teach the style that we teach at Fearless Dance Empire. And so many students look up to them. A lot of students look up to me, but they look up to them because they're closer in age. And they're like, hey, I want to be able to teach one day, just like, Miss So-and-so. And so it kind of forces them, to really open up and really start to lead because they already have been shown the example.
Mm-hmm. Those push-ups would have been enough for me. I would have been accountable.
You're right. You're like, all right, I'm not doing this here on time.
Okay, so we all know that running a business and being in leadership, typically you can't do it on your own. You have to have a great team behind you. And Dr. Hill kind of touched on this a little bit, like, bringing up people, and then you too as well, Keisha, bringing up the people that you lead to become leaders. So my next question is, how important do you believe it is to have a great team behind you? Not necessarily the people that you're leading, but the people that are on your side, pushing you, to live out your vision. So how important is it for you to have a great team on your side? That's for both of you. Anyone can go first.
Well, I think it's extremely important. It's imperative, for you to have a strong team, because just like how, the saying goes back when you were like younger, there's no I in team. You can do a lot. As one person, you can do a lot, but together you can accomplish so much more. And that was one of my biggest issues starting out as a new business, owner, and as a new venture for myself. I wanted to do everything on my own. And I had to do everything on my own. I didn't have a team of people to support me. I was a sole proprietor. So I had to make sure that everything that was being done legally, that was being done in the most effective and efficient way. But once the company started to grow larger, because I never wanted this to be a small company, I wanted it to be a huge entity. It's an empire, Fearless Dance Empire. I wanted that. And I realized that I cannot do it all by myself. I can do a lot of great things, but for it to go further than my expectation, I have to be able to trust other people to carry along with me. And so I have another parent by the name of Miss Nicole Elmore. She has been with me, from the beginning, when her child was sneaking my dance classes in after school program, but it's another story. She has been with me all that time, and a lot of times we go to different events, and by me still being young, I'm not 30 yet, and they see her. She represents our mission. She represents our vision. She carries it as if it's her own. So when we're going out into the community, people expect that she's the director of Fearless Dance Empire, not me, but it shows the fact that she really believes in what it is that we're doing here. I have an amazing team of people. There's about 10 of us. And, every day, some people are seen, some people are behind the scenes. And I appreciate every single last one of them because now I'm able to do so much more. I'm back in school. I just purchased a home. I have so many things that I'm doing, and now I'm able to delegate tasks. And I'm comfortable knowing that those tasks will be done in a way in which I would like for them to be done, with the expertise and with the fine tooth comb. Everything will be done perfectly, especially with their own little swag on the too. So
Mm.
I appreciate it.
That's good. And how about you, Dr. Hill? Do you have like a specific number of people on your team, or like how do you lead your team?
So I'm always with my day one. So my day one is my best friend, Bashar McCarthy. So he's the other half of YRN Designs. And it started off with a vision. And whenever you're building a team, you need somebody who's going to tell you no. And he is that person for me. Like he's the one where if he doesn't see it, he'll be like, all right, like explain it to me so I can get the breakdown, so I understand the breakdown. He'll be the one to say, no, I don't think we should do it like that. I think we should do it like this because of X, Y, and Z. But you need somebody who's going to tell you no and not a lot of yeses. If you have somebody who's on your team who's only telling you yes, yes, not wanting to challenge you, not wanting to tell you no, and I want to say this is not a good reason or idea because of X, Y, and Z, then you're not going to reach your full potential. Not be the first one and photography this past year has taught me that. You really got to spend your time perfecting your craft, trying a lot of different things, putting yourself out there to really be able to grow and develop. So that's just so critical, to have people on your team to be able to tell you no. And the same token, find somebody else for you to be able to mentor. If you're able to mentor and explain it to somebody else, and they be able to get it and understand and flourish, then that means that you're really learning and growing as a leader. And be ready for somebody to be better than you. I mean, there are photographers that are that are asking me for advice, stuff like that. That I know if they spend the time, they'll be better than me, and it doesn't make me nervous at all. You should, as a leader and you know, wanting the best for those around you, even if it means that they're going to far exceed and eclipse you. And because I think that's just a natural progression of life. You're going to have your time in the sun, and then somebody else is going to have their time in the sun. It's going to be your job to help push them and promote them and give them all the support. Because if you do your job correctly, they will always pay homage and give you the respect and service that is due. And we see that all the time in music. All the greats that say, this artist is my inspiration, even if they're bigger than that artist ever has been. Same thing with a business.
Okay, that's good. Now, we all know that, having a great team behind you is like the key to, be having a successful business and stuff like that. So let me ask you guys this really quick. Have you ever started with someone on your team? You had someone on your team and then you realized that either they does not fit your vision, or they are, trying to take over and trying to use you rather than be on your side and help you. Have you ever had a team member where you had to let go and just was like, yeah, you ain't fit for my team and where I see it going? Either one of you?
Yes, I have. Like I said, especially by me being a younger business owner, and seeking people to join our team and join our family. Um, Sometimes, a lot of times, like I try to go for like some older people who have the wisdom, who has the wisdom. And so I remember a few times I've had some people to, wanting to assist. So I was just like, okay, please just let me help you, let me help you, let me help you. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. So finally I give in, but then it's like once I see that you're not fitting and meeting the vision of the dance company, you have your own agenda, you have your own way of doing things, which is fine. You know, I definitely love people with their creativity and wanting to add something different. But when you're trying to change up the whole business model, you know, then you're not a great fit for what Fearless Dance Empire is trying to do. We're not trying to operate as a 90s or 80s or 70s dance business. This is now a 2020. Every so often, you have to always constantly revamp and be able to make adjustments for that. And so there has been a few times where we had people on our team that just, it wasn't a great fit, and that was some of the hardest decisions that I had to, make, because I don't like hurting people's feelings. But I'm like, business, especially with your own personal business, and when you have already invested so much, sometimes you just can't have friends, with that. You have to understand, that this is business. And with business, it's business. Now, outside of it, we still can be friends. Like, I still see these people on the, database. I'm like, hey, it was a little awkward at first. but but once you, give my hug, like, hey, everything is gonna be good. Like, we're still cool, but it's okay. And that's how, I try to, keep going and still stay encouraged and still encourage them. And, so give them resources like, oh, hey, well, maybe you should try this other dance company, or maybe you should try this or try that, so still keep it open, but just let them know that, we're still friends and acquaintances, but, with business, it just wasn't a great fit.
Right. That's good. And how about you, Dr. Hill?
So I haven't had to pivot, being so small. I haven't had to pivot and like change, just being a short of myself, rocking out, and we just understand each other. While we can have disagreements and stuff like that, there's a balance, and everybody has a lane. That's the biggest thing. So like I know from like a business logistics standpoint, understanding like taxes, understanding a lot of the different aspects in business, like that's the Charles learning. That's where he chooses to focus on. Myself, I look at the marketing, I look at the business clientele hunting, the business of the day operations and things of that nature, and that's my lane. I don't try to cross over to his lane, he doesn't try to cross over to my lane, and then we both excel and lead, where we need to lead.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that.
So my next question for you both is, what advice do you have for our viewers? What do you want them to take away from this conversation?
My piece of advice would be to start somewhere. As I said to everybody, earlier, one of the things that I learned, and then, refiling for business for the first, when I first started wiring, I started as an LLC, back in 2015 when I dissolved the LLC because of all the different requirements that are needed for LLC, but second time around, just establishing the trade name and, being a sole proprietor, the biggest thing in the best piece of advice is just to start, even if things don't work out, you'll benefit, one, from the learning experience, and then two, you'll benefit from the taxes. That's the biggest thing. All of us, as we look to try to grow and build a legacy or something for our families, that's how a lot of these more powerful families are continuing to grow and develop. Like Amazon. It was said that Amazon paid $0 in taxes in the last 2 or 3 years. Why? Because they understand the tax code. It's not that they're not making the money, but they understand the tax code. And if you really want to move your family forward and things of that nature, pay attention to the tax code.
Thank you.
You're on mute.
Sorry, I was just saying, go ahead and help. And how about your advice for anyone that's listening?
Yes, go after your dreams. No matter what it is, you're never too young or too old to start anywhere. Just go for it. And it's okay to also change. If you would like to make some changes and make some adjustments along your way on your journey, that is fine. Make those adjustments. Sometimes it makes you do a hard pivot, and that's fine. Take that hard pivot and keep going, and just like understanding of a lot of decisions that you're making as well. So definitely think about investing, not only just in just businesses, but there's so many other things out there that you can invest in. And stocks, start young, start now learning about stocks and, different things that you're already interested in will then be able to turn into something different, like the Apple company or something. Like invest in a stock. Now with the mantra that we say every day at Resilient Empire. It's a long poem. I'm going to do like a little excerpt. It says, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. We ask ourselves, who am I to be? Brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. Actually, who are you not to be? And it's by Mary Ann Williamson. So you all be great. Be your best. Be talented. Be bold. Be young. Do what you have to do. Be all that and a bunch of chips. World by song. The world is your oyster. Crack it open and run with it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for that advice. Now we do have to close the show. Our time has come to an end, but I do want to thank you guys for joining us today. And before we leave, is there any like social media that you want to put out there for people to follow you, or to gain clients, or Keisha gain some new students? You can share your social media.
Yeah, so mine is on Facebook, Fearless Dance Empire. On Instagram, the F at the letter F, the letter D, and then EMPIRE. So FD Empire. Our studio is located at 2026 Greenmount Avenue, right between 21st and 20th, right above North Avenue. And you have our phone number, so 443-653-3968. 443-653-3968.
Thank you. And how about you, Dr. Hill?
So for myself, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook on YRN Photo, YRN Photo, or YRN Photography. Always looking to work with new clientele and family. We actually have some Black Friday and holiday specials going on in the coming weeks. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. Click the link in the bio and schedule a family session. You won't be disappointed.
Okay, great. Thank you guys. And so, yeah, our time has come to an end, and that is the end of our show. But I'd like to thank you guys again for joining us and giving that great advice for any young person that's out there looking to, start a business or keep going in the business that they already have. Okay, thank you guys for joining.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.